I'm going to talk a little bit about our journey at GoDaddy through the e-commerce product, what we look for, and how we end up with Spree. And then, when we decided to go with Spree, what we've done with it to support tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of stores. So this is my contact, my email. Someone reached out to me. They're migrating Spree, and they wanted to share some notes on how we're migrating our Spree installation as well. Just please reach out, send an email to me. So first of all, I'm from Brazil, right? And I live in California. And I travel almost every week to Arizona. It's tough for me to be in New York right now. It's freaking cold for me. But it's really awesome to be here. Thanks, Sean and Josh, to having this partnership with us for us to present here. I want to talk a little bit, before we go there, I want to talk a little bit about GoDaddy. Because how many of you know GoDaddy? How many of you know GoDaddy because of the commercials? All right, okay. So we're actually making a transformation in GoDaddy, right? So we just announced our partnership with Spree, and then I was digging on Spree. Actually, the guys made a nice post on Twitter about it, and then someone said, hey, GoDaddy, oh, shoot. And they're going to do some store shooting elephants and stuff. So I want to talk about, this is a new GoDaddy, right? So the whole leadership changed. 90% of the leadership is new, coming from Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, a lot of other companies, a lot of tech companies, right? So that old GoDaddy is gone. I wouldn't join GoDaddy. I joined GoDaddy April last year, almost 1 year, because I believe that there is an opportunity in this company to actually build amazing products for small businesses, as you guys are, small businesses, and enable small businesses to be successful. So lots of good stuff. Our CEO came from Yahoo. I worked with him at Yahoo as well. And we're changing our product, right? So this is the homepage a few years ago, and very, not crowded at all. You can focus what you're going to buy. And this is the new one, right? So we're moving away from crowded, deceiving stuff. We're actually, the whole shopping cart is so easy for you to use and, buy just whatever you want. And we're going to much more cleaner, much more transparent in that sense. We also made a lot of progress bringing talent to the company. So we acquired 6 companies in last year. 2 of them are Ruby shops. Ronin and Outright are Ruby shops. Loco is a Python shop. And of course, I think you guys know Media Temple. And we're renewing our tech stack. When I joined, it was a lot of .NET. Nothing against it, but there are a lot of opportunities there. So we are bringing a lot of open source, a lot of technology, a lot of very modern stacks and tools to the company. Now let's talk about our current product. Our current product is, we have a product now called GoDaddy Quick Shopping Cart. It's a fairly old product. It's been there for 9 years. And we are actually pretty big, though. We have more than 60,000 stores on Quick Shopping Cart today. If you look at the top 1 million websites, e-commerce websites, Quick Shopping Cart actually positions very well. It powers almost 10,000 of those. But here's the thing. Because of the age, it's super hard to use. So it's amazingly hard to use, especially for GoDaddy's demographics. The target user we go after is someone that doesn't know how to code. It's someone that doesn't know what HTML is, where CSS is, where JavaScript is. So we're going to, how can we make it easier? Right, so it's a very old stack, not easy to extend, and we have a very small team. So we into a journey to create this new GoDaddy store, and how we selected Spree to actually be the back end of that store. We look at a lot of open source projects. This is just a few of them. And we look at several aspects of it. Community, how frequently they, what are the types of commits, how the community participates. We look very closely at Magento. It's a mess. As a community overall, it's crowded. It's a lot of people, and it's an old code base as well, so it's pretty tough there. And then we selected Spree, right? So, and why we selected Spree? We selected Spree for some reasons. One of them is the community. The most strongest part of the decision was the community, right? So when we look at the activity on GitHub, how many people are committing, how many people are using, how many people are building extensions to it, it really made a difference. Another thing is Rails projects tend to be more high quality. I know some of you, if you committed something without an RSpec test, you're going to be destroyed in the community for not doing that. So yeah, it's a high quality, really high quality. Feature set was amazing, and it is amazing. It continues to get better. The new adjustments on 2.2 is amazing. Great progress there. And the vision, right? So we decided on Spree last year in July to go with Spree. I came here in May to my first Spree conference in May in DC, and I talked to Sean and Josh and Brian, and there was a shared vision there, and I understood what they're going with their platform. And unfortunately, I couldn't see that vision with the other open source projects, right? So they were very open, and that actually was the final decision for us to go with Spree. Given that, what we're using on GoDaddy on our stack for our e-commerce platform, which is called GoDaddy Online Store. So we're going with CentOS, very, very basic stuff, nothing really amazing here. So CentOS, we decided to go with MySQL instead of Postgres, Ruby 2.1, Rails 3.2, I know that. It's Spree 2.0. When we decided to go with Spree in July, back in July, September, there was we've done a lot of integrations, internal integrations. I'm going to show some of them that will make it easier for users to use Spree. And then, Rails 4 basically breaks everything on our integrations. So we need to do a lot of work there, and we've decided to, for our MVP, it's good enough. We need to upgrade to Spree 2.2. Unicorn, delayed job for queuing. Another big difference is we're using Bootstrap for admin. I'm going to show some of that. Apache, one thing that I love, Mini Profiler. How many of you guys use Rack Mini Profiler? Yeah, I'm going to show. It's amazing for performance. Akamai for the stores and assets. We use GitHub Enterprise, which makes it super easy for us to actually share code. Jenkins is fully CI. So every commit actually runs our tests and then does the build, does the deployment, and so on, and goes to production. We have Hadoop. I can talk a little bit about what we're going to do with Hadoop moving forward. If we look at the hardware architecture itself, nothing really magical here. Very traditional approach. We have Apache traffic servers, ATS, that basically we use them to do SSL terminations. And then we have HA proxy to do the internal load balancing. And we have Memcache on all our Spree boxes, and a traditional master-slave replication on the MySQL implementations as well. So highly stable, super traditional architecture because we need stability and reliability. So, but it really works. It's no surprise there. What is different from the Spree that you go download and you install? So basically, we're focusing on non-technical users. Just to give an example, on our site builder product, the one top issue that always comes to, is a top issue on our customer care is people don't close HTML tags. They don't know that they need to close HTML tags, right? So this is the top issue. So we're talking about very non-technical users with GoDaddy. And they're do-it-yourself, very small businesses as well. We added multi-tenancy. I'm going to show a little bit of what we've done. We completely rewrote or redesigned the admin UI. We did a lot of integrations with GoDaddy to make it simpler for users. We use Bootstrap on admin, and we replace ERB with a new engine on the storefronts to make it easier and more secure for you to edit templates and themes. We're going to go over some of those. Multi-tenancy. So we basically had two approaches, right? So one is kind of a namespace single DB. I think, the Railsdog guys actually done a great job. There's this extension called Landlord. It basically creates a name, store ID on your model, and then you can have multiple stores in one single application. Actually, super easy. One single database, no issues there, super easy to maintain connections and everything. It seems a little harder when we look at a little harder for us to maintain that, because every Spree change we would need to change our schema, and we didn't want to change the schema too much. Which would be really hard for us to merge back to Spree, whatever we want, right? So today we merge back every 2 weeks. So we pull whatever is the latest updates on Spree, and then we merge back to our code every 2 weeks. Right? So if we go that way, we need to have way more maintenance to actually keep on bringing back the Spree core to our product. So we decided to look at the other approach, which is multiple DBs, which is a lot more complex to maintain in terms of ops. Right? So ops is crazy there, but it scales really well. Our current product, Quick Shopping Cart, uses the same approach. You have 1 DB per store, and then you have a gem. We use a gem called Apartment. How many of you know Apartment? So Apartment basically orchestrates your application and which DB needs to connect for each store. I'm going to show some examples for that. So that is awesome because we can use the core of Spree. We don't need to change the schema. And we just need to reroute our DB connection to whatever is the right database for that store. And again, we didn't change any models on Spree, which makes it super easy to merge back. So I'm going to go, this is super generic. It's the examples on the Apartment GitHub page. But basically, Apartment has some concepts. One of them is called tenants, where you can create new tenants, new stores. And it's very simple. You have this method called create a new tenant. You tell whatever is the name of that new tenant. And by default, it will consider that as your subdomain. Right? Subdomain is the default installation as well. So whenever you have mystore.mydomain.com, is going to reroute that. It's going to take your subdomain, find your tenant, and redirect to that database. It's actually pretty flexible as well. I'm showing you an example of, for instance, of subdomain. So it's very simple for you to, on your routes, to actually get on your route. And in this example, accessing my store.whatever.domain.com will trigger Apartment to actually say, switch to my store DB. Right, super straightforward and super easy to use. It supports other things like domains. You can go directly to a domain. You can say, hey, this domain goes to this DB. So you can have different domains for different stores. You can have subdomains. You can have a hash. So you can have very more complex arrays in terms of what is the domain, what is the subdomain, and what is the database it needs to go to. And then it has a generic type. Basically, all the others inherit from generic. And then generic is basically a custom. You can do much more complex decisions on given the domain that comes, what you're going to do, which DB you're going to connect to. So it's pretty straightforward. This is the one that we use. The modification we did for this is, as we have too many stores and we have some data that we need for each store, we created a single common DB that basically stores the user's data that we need for some actions on the store. So the difference that we have here is with by default an apartment, what you have is a store that is completely independent, and each store don't see each other. Right? So they don't know the other stores that exist. We created a common DB that has some common data that we need to, like the user ID on GoDaddy, if that user has some preferences or so on. And then that's the only change we made on apartment overall. But if you want to go with multi-tenancy, the default apartment gem is really powerful there. Also, it's we decided to go with MySQL as our main database, and I feel that given all the forums and all the lists, apartment is very much focused on Postgres. So, and I gotta say, using apartment with Postgres makes a lot of sense because Postgres schemas. Do you guys know Postgres schemas? Postgres schemas is really, really powerful, and it's super fast, much faster than switching DBs like in MySQL. So if you go with Postgres, good, awesome stuff. Apartment is perfect. Lots of support there. For MySQL, there are some things that you need to tweak. Now, moving to the next topic, what did we do on the user interface? So first of all, we used Bootstrap 3. We did a new onboarding system. Our users don't know what they need to do to start selling, and they want to start selling right away. Right, so they don't know they need to set up taxes or they need to set up payments or whatever. So we built a dashboard, onboarding dashboard for them. We built a very simple also sales dashboard. It's not like Giraffe at all, but it's improving. It's the first iteration. We're going to keep on iterating on that one. We built a products page. So there is an extension in Spree that allows you to actually create static pages. We basically incorporated that one and made some changes to make it a little easier for you to have, for instance, terms of service or about us or contact me, those kind of pages. Now it comes by default with our implementation. We made some changes on taxonomies as well. Taxonomies could be pretty overwhelming. Our users don't understand much, too many cascaded categories, and we had to simplify that drastically. What you're going to see is we simplified Spree drastically to be super easy to use, and some other things that I'm going to show now. I'm going to show some examples. Right when you start, of course, GoDaddy sells domains, and we can actually attach your store right away with a domain. Right, so this is the first step. You give your store name, you select one of your domains if you have domains with GoDaddy. If you don't, we have instructions for you to actually connect whatever register you use for your domain. Or you can use a temporary URL. We're going to have a simple domain that anyone can use to have their store there if they don't have a domain. Then they tell a little bit about their business, right? So which email they want us to set up for their payments. Once you add that email over there, we're going to set up PayPal and credit card for that store. Instead of you going to payments and setting up all of that, we do a PayPal setup right away. And the business is actually to help us to decide which template we're going to show them. If they are a shoe store, we're going to present themes that are related to shoes and selling goods. And also that will help us on the big data projects that we have to help businesses get better. Once you go there, you have the dashboard, right? So those are the steps that you need to do to actually just start selling. And give us your business information, your address, your phone. If you're a GoDaddy client, we have that data. You don't need to provide that. Create your products, add your products, payments. We already, as you can see, we already set up the PayPal for this user. He's one of our developers. You can spam him as much as you can. Shipping and taxes and design. Select the theme that you want. And then you go live. Also another difference is when you set up create a new store with GoDaddy, the Spree store is actually we create a default route that goes to a kind of a in construction page. And once you go live, you reroute that to your index action. And then, as you complete those steps, we make it super easy for you to just check, okay, I've done 3, there's 3 more for me to go to. This is the dashboard, it's first iteration. We did it in a week. We're going to keep on improving that one, just to give some sense for the users where they are in terms of sales and their recent sales and so on. This is just to show a little bit the difference. I don't know if this is current on 2.2. Yeah. But this is the orders page, right? So this is the order detailed page. There is 2 things that are difficult for our users. We did a lot of user testing. We put Spree in front of some users, and we asked them, hey, what do you think about this? Do some certain actions. Cancel this order. Do some other things. And it didn't perform well. So one big thing is users don't understand the 3 types of states we have here. Status of the order, which is complete or not complete, all the status. Shipment, and the payment status. Right? So there are 3 flags they need to follow here. And they don't understand the whole flow in all of them. So what we've done is we simplified that, and we created one single status that you can see on the top. And it's, whatever that is, it's paid. It shows you the next action, which is mark as shipped. And once you mark as shipped, it goes and adds your tracking number, right? So we actually try to simplify to say, hey, this is the next stuff you need to do right away after this is done. We also added some recent orders. So if they open an order and they want to know, hey, this customer he bought a lot of stuff with us. They see all the recent orders, and they can have a history of everything that happened, right? So when the order entered, when it got paid, when we marked as shipped, and so on. So they actually have a kind of a little, very simple and poor man CRM kind of thing. This is the products page. Again, it was too complex for our users to use. We simplified that one. And what you're going to see, we're hiding a lot of the features on Spree. A lot of them. Some of them are too complex for users to use. So this is our products page. It's much simpler. You can, as you drag a file on top of the product image, you will upload the image. And you can have multiple images. If you drag and drop the images on the bottom, the thumbnails, you will reorder the images on the StoreFront as well. So again, another change that we've done. And the way we've done it is we created some Spree extensions, right? So the Spree core is intact. We don't touch the Spree core. All the Spree core projects, API, front end, back end, Spree core, we don't touch them. We created extensions around it. Right? So for us to change the UI, we created an extension that changes the admin UI. And for us to change the front end on the storefront, we created extensions to do that as well. Of course, as any Bootstrap powered project is responsive, fully responsive by default. This is the orders list. Here is where we actually saw the difference on those 3 states: the state of the order, the shipping state, and the payment state. This is where we simplified this. This is our orders list. We have only one single status, and then we actually do whatever we need to do on the back end to show the appropriate status there. Settings is tough though. It's a lot of power here. You can see that Spree gives a lot of power to developers, and too much power for users that don't understand how to use it. It's risky. It's very risky. And we've actually splitted that in several parts and combined some of them. For instance, taxes and zones, we made it simpler. So it's everything under the settings tab. For instance, this is our shipping page. Super simple. You understand what it is. I would love to upgrade this with the new, and the taxes with the new 2.2 improvements. Taxes the same, right? Super simple, big letters, big buttons. It needs to be super simple for them to understand what they're doing. Most of our users have only one. They only serve their region, and they only provide basically sales on one state, taxes in one state, in one city. So very few have very complex tax demands. Payments, again, as you can see, the environment, display, this makes no sense for users that are not developers. So we hided all of that, and we basically created, a very simple payment. We're going to go off the bat with our MVP with credit card, supporting credit card and PayPal Express. You can enable refund and disable refund, change your email connected to that one, that account on PayPal. From inside of the application, you need to go to PayPal to make those changes, which is great. Every time in our user studies and usability studies, when we put the whole PayPal process to work, people just got lost going to PayPal and managing all of that. So we try to do as much as we can in this interface. So this is on the admin. This is the admin side. And what we did on the front end. So again, it's about with too much power, with a lot of power comes a great responsibility. And we didn't want to run Ruby code on a template still. It's too risky, too powerful. It's like running PHP on, in WordPress. That's what happens, right? So you have PHP on WordPress, and it's too powerful as a template language. So we wanted to make it safer, but it still be powerful. So we wanted also to give complete freedom in terms of structure. Do whatever you want with the language and the engine. So we selected Liquid. Liquid is very, very popular. Shopify created Liquid a long time ago. It's a very old project. And it's very, very powerful, right? So, and what is nice is it gives complete control to us developers to what we expose, what type of payload and data we expose on the front end. This is an example of how you can change that. So in our case, on our front end, we changed the rendering. Now we have a liquid rendering. And as you can see on the ERB, the index ERB, now we have a liquid render that passes a drop. How many of you worked with liquid before? So you have the concept of drops. And the drop actually is awesome because it completely isolates and gives control for you to what data you're exposing to the template. In this case, this one here is going to load, is going to expose, we're passing to this template the feature products. Then if you look at the feature products drop, it only exposes an array of, the first, this is a very simple example, the latest four products. It exposes those objects in an array. And then on a liquid template, we just basically do a for. This is liquid template. You do a for, and then you rotate on your product object, right? So it's super simple to use, super clean. A lot of people do it for Shopify. Of course, our objects are not the same as Shopify, but it's, a lot of people use it. And we did it the same for our email templates as well. So we use Liquid for email templates. So it's as we open this platform for designers and developers, they will be able to not only define all parts of the store, the design and look and feel, but also the email communications and everything that goes with that. So it has the same look and feel. We also added versioning. So this is a very painful stuff that we have on other products that depend on themes. So you can actually keep on updating your themes, and only when the user, we actually notify the user, hey, there is a new version of a theme, they can actually apply and do the upgrade. They don't need to, we don't apply a new update on a theme to everyone. So this is nice as well. And of course you have snippets and partials. It's super easy to do a very modular development there. we also added something called color packs. So you can easily change assets colors. Let's say you have a structure, and then just to structure the layout of the page, and then you can add, for shoes, you can have some assets to it, some images, some colors. For sports goods, you can actually have other assets, and it's really simple. So it's an array that you just pass whatever are those assets, and it applies. It basically generates several templates out of one simple configuration. So this is really nice as well. So this is the storefront, an example. Nothing there that magical, but lots of power. You can change everything. This is a liquid template, and of course, is responsive as well. Everything is responsive. So while we're looking, what is next? Right? So next is we're going to continue. So first, we're going to launch MVP. Right? So this is the most important thing for us, is to launch these products to customers. And it's coming this spring. And we're going to continue to add features to it. We basically add new features every week. We now, the team, Jeff mentioned in the first presentation, once we moved to Spree, it was a huge change for the team, right? So they were Java developers working with Java for a long time. And then, we changed the language, we changed the framework, and we changed the application. So it took some time for us to get up to speed, but now we're pretty fast, and we're adding new features almost every week. Every 2 weeks we deploy. The biggest challenge is our upgrade to Rails 4. We will need to do it. There are some things, very important things, performance upgrade as well on 2.2 that we need to go with. But as we go with it, we're going to share some of that on the forums and on the mailing list. We need to do some work on performance, though. Performance is on a storefront and an admin. Admin is fine because, let's say we have 200,000 customers. This is fine, right? It's not a lot of customers in terms of load. But the stores have millions of users. So we're doing a lot of work on the storefronts to make it faster and caching a lot of stuff and doing a lot of performance improvements there. One of the things I mentioned, the mini profiler, Rack mini profiler. This is a freaking awesome. I'm new to Rails as well, so when I saw this stuff, it's freaking awesome, right? So it gives you everything. It tells you what's slow, what part of it. You can see the SQL statements. They're super slow. So we use this extensively now, especially now that we're focused on performance. So going back. We're going to improve the API as well. So we just did an internal hackathon at GoDaddy for people to create new stuff on top of the Spree store. And we saw some challenges there. For instance, if you want to do anything related to customers, it's not easy for you to retrieve all your customers from the API. So there are some opportunities on the API, and all of those, whatever we commit to those, it makes total sense for us to contribute that back to the community. Everything that we're going to do, we're going to basically contribute back to it, especially because it's easy now, the way we develop with extensions. It's very isolated, and we can actually open source the whole extension in some cases. So it's super easy to do that. We have done, because of the performance front-end, challenges we had, we also did, and inspired by Brian's work with Backbone on the Spree Conference Europe. So Brian basically, I don't know if you know, Brian basically built a prototype using a front-end and Backbone JS on top of Spree, and it's lightning fast. It's like insanely fast. The front-end is super, super fast. So we've done the same thing with Angular. So we have a prototype working where our front-end is not Rails, is not Ruby, is Angular. So it's super fast as well. There's a lot of work to do there, but it's amazingly fast as well. We want to open our themes structure to developers and designers. So anyone can actually tap into those customers. And one thing that's interesting is the way we're approaching our business model and our strategy at GoDaddy is we have 12 million right now, 12 million small businesses. They're all paying us for something. Or a domain, most of them domains, millions of them for websites, tens of thousands of them for e-commerce. This is the perfect spot for us to actually connect. We're going to do a set of features for those customers, but we're not going to go and personalize every single aspect of it. So it's a great opportunity for us to actually connect those customers with professionals like you guys, most of you guys, that can actually make it better, personalize their stores, and open up our themes is one of the approaches we're going to go with. We don't have all the throughput that a whole community can actually give in terms of innovation on the UI, and that's why we want to open that up. We're doing some interesting work as well with Elasticsearch and Hadoop. So basically, our focus is to help our customers sell. As you guys know, the toughest thing is, and it's very interesting. Once one store sells one product, they stick with us for a whole year, right? So if they don't sell for 3 months, they cancel. So we need to help them sell. This is the whole focus of an online store, is to sell. So we're doing a lot of stuff on the back end to help them get insights on how to sell better, insights on pricing. That's why we're using Hadoop for. We acquired some companies that are big data driven, like Loku, to help them. Another hassle that we have is, if you have 200 products, to insert all of them, it's a pain. You have some CSV files and importers, but how can we make it easier for them? Right, so this is our focus, and to help them sell. This is the most important thing. You need to sell, and this is most of our focus. Once we get our MVP out, we're going to focus on tools and features to help customers sell. And last, we're hiring. Right, so we're hiring in several parts. We're hiring and we're partnering, right? So if you're a designer and engineer, you have a good idea, let's talk. The head of product is here, Sandeep. Sandeep, if you can hand. He's our head of all products for site building and e-commerce. We're partnering. If you have ideas, design considerations, if you're a design company, we're hiring and we're partnering as well. So with that, just send me an email. Thanks.
We have a couple minutes for questions before we break for lunch.
I'm curious, as far as the AngularJS front end is concerned, how are you going to deal with the SEO aspects of using a JavaScript framework like that?
So there are some implement. This is a very good question. We've done some work, and Google is improving a lot on that one. So Google is actually following the hash banks right now. So Google is also rendering JavaScript outputs. So if I ask you guys to do a test, write a index that basically does a document.write and print some stuff there. Google will first index your HTML. It will have nothing there. And then after a few days, if you keep on looking, it will show your JavaScript output there. So Google is improving a lot on that front. And for Hashbang, Ember, and Angular, they are following Hashbangs if you have that issue as well. So we've done some tests, and we have an SEO product as well to help. So we are always following, and talking to Google, Yahoo, and Bing, how we can make it better for SEO. Any other questions?
Are you going to be allowing them to set up an API key for their StoreFront so we can connect it?
So I couldn't hear.
Yeah, can you use the mic?
Are you going to allow the customers to set up an API key for the storefronts?
Yes. Yeah, so the core functionality of Spree is there. We're not exposing it right now because we need to make it simpler, but we're going to expose the tokens as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So they can actually expand their stores, whatever they want to do. Yeah. Lunch, everyone is hungry. Oh, damn it.
With your Java team transitioning to Spree and Ruby and Rails, can you talk about what parts were easy, what parts were hard for them to get going?
Yeah, I have a lot of quotes from them. One of them is the magic, right? So they say, "Oh shit, we did something here. I don't know what happened, but it works." So a lot of magic on Rails. They call this is magic, right? So it happens. The Rails just make it work, and they get a little frustrated because they want to know how it works, and then they go deep in the code, and then they understand. They say, "Oh, that's what it does." Okay. So the magic is interesting. Another challenge was the language itself. So I was in Arizona a few weeks ago, and we're making some changes, and the guy said, "Oh shit!" It's a frustration of learning, right? So everyone that learns a new language, a new framework, there is some frustration in the beginning, and say, "Hey, I can do this in 10 seconds in Java." And now I'm taking 10 minutes to do it in Rails, right? So there is this learning in Ruby. Until they learn now, they're super fast. But that's another one. Another thing is Active Record. It's tough for some people that never worked with Active Record before. And our foreign keys, not only that, and sometimes you want to control the connection, right? So we don't want that abstraction. For instance, for our work with Apartment, we want the connection with our common DB always there. And that we had to do some work, and there was some huge learning curve there. And I would say I think we only know 20% of what Active Record can do. It's so powerful. There are so many things, and we learn every day. So Active Record is one. It ties to the magic part of it on the ORM's part, and learning, the frustration with learning it overall.
Why don't we just do one more question?
Do you have any experience in selling services instead of stockable products?
It's actually a service, right? So you pay per month or per year. It's
No, in the shop of
with
your-
Spree. Okay, selling we do have some customers that do
like for
that.
example
Massage and hair salons.
reservations and stuff
Exactly.
like that.
Yeah, I think we do have a strategy there. If you look at our customers, a huge percentage of them are service oriented, and we have stores on our legacy product that is they sell massage, they sell hair salons. You can definitely do that with Spree. I have no doubt about that. Yeah. With Spree itself, yeah, we're new to Spree, right? So we still don't have, we have internal customers now. We're going to release very soon. But I will definitely share that with you. I bet in the first week we're going to have a lot of services there.
All right. Thanks, Antonio.
Thanks.